And as an introduction, I am Steve Thompson with Optimum Renewables. I'm the CEO of Optimum Renewables. I'm here with my business partner, Esther Reinders. A little bit about the specifics of our project. We presently have a 20 megawatt wind project planned. It is going to be built with 5 Vestas turbines, they're 4 megawatt turbines with 136 meter rotors.
Next on the agenda is Optimum Renewables, which is the windmill project. We had a meeting with them just the other day, as a matter of fact, and so basically for those of you who remember or those of you who don't know, they proposed a Met Tower and it was put up last year. And this is along the properties of Eddie, Britt, Underwood, and Jasmine. So it's like Old County Road and I can't remember what other roads there were. Chapman, that's what it is, yeah.
Chapman, should be Chapman and Whitman, I believe.
Yeah, Chapman, Whitman, and Old County. So the proposed time frame is 1 to 2 years. Up to 5 years for the Met Tower. So in another couple of months, the Met Tower will already have been up a year. And so they are now proposing the actual wind farm project. So I wanted to give everybody an update. So they came and discussed the Met Tower. The boundaries remain the same. The size of the turbines are still variable. They could not give us an exact size of the turbines because it's based on the approval they get from the energy department. The height is the same, so there's no change in that, which is just under 500 feet. They are looking to start, the process as far as moving, seeker construction, so on and so forth, with an estimated time of approximately 2021. Right? 2021, right there. Jim was there with me when they presented this. I discussed with them because there was also another wind farm in Fenner that has been there for years, but they did a repowering. So to give everybody a quick update, there's been some controversy or some conversation going back and forth between some of the different entities, meaning the school district, the township, the county, and the wind farm company. So trying to make sure that Town of Lincoln will not be in that same situation if this is approved and moves forward. So before we even get to that point, what I've discussed with them is they've given a proposal of approximately, and this is a newer proposal because they came in much lower, doing $10,000 per megawatt for each turbine, and with a 2% escalation per year in the revenue. At which point the county is in agreement to do a 15-year pilot. So what that means is the county will not participate for 15 years. Therefore, then the revenue at that point is to be shared somehow, some way, between the town and the school district. The school district will opt out. Initially, it's a 487 pilot, but then they opt back in. There's some legal logistics, if anybody wants to know. I'm sure Jim will be able to tell us. But I just know that it's just in and out. So I also mentioned to them that it would be a negotiation with them, making sure that the town is in a favorable situation for that also, since we are the one taking on all of the responsibility. And they just collect a check, fortunately for them. So in doing so, I'm trying to make sure that we are ahead of the curve and that we're not in the same situation as some of the other townships are finding themselves. Because what happens is some of these wind programs are coming back after 15 years and they want another pilot program. They're trying to logistically readjust how they get taxed, because after 15 years they're supposed to go on the tax rolls and basically at that point at assessed value. So that is a variable that they have to come back to us with to give us that information. They also understand that if this is approved, that we would have to do modification of zoning for that particular area. So there are a few steps that would need to be taken in the meantime, and that would have to be figured out. Let's see. We talked about going to the planning board, Tyler, just so that you know. But basically, Jim and I actually said that if there really isn't an agreement between the school district and the town of Lincoln, then there's really no point. It's not going to go anywhere. So don't waste your time. Also gave them a general census of the assessment going forward. So what Madison County is setting a standard for, so that we know what to expect. Because their original proposal right now for years 16 through 20, because they actually want a 20-year pilot, meaning that the pilot that they would receive through 487 would go for 15 years, but that they would want some other consideration, 16 through 20. And basically what happens then is that the assessment of these turbines would drop way down. So that's what their assumption is, that the value would significantly go down. And I basically said that wouldn't work, because what happens at that point, 16 through 20, the school district's in there, the county's in there, and we're in there and it's based on our tax rate. So as we all know, the school district being the highest tax rate per thousand, then the county, and then us. I mean, at this particular year, we're at $3.24, so we'll get very, very little. But we're the ones maintaining the roads, we're the ones that are making sure that we're compliant, et cetera, et cetera. So they also understand that we have local law as far as the roads. So apparently, they mentioned that they had talked to you some time ago, that you had narrowed Chapman Road, on one end of it apparently.
The intersection off of Whitman.
Yeah, and they said, yeah, your highway guy said if he would have known, he wouldn't have narrowed it, he would have left it wider. But we also proposed that if it's approved by the town, trying to think ahead of the curve again, that Chapman Road only goes just so far. So number one, where they're proposing their entrance to be, Chapman Road doesn't go that far. And we said, we're not doing it, you can do it. What we also said is we would like to see them extend Chapman Road on their dime and redo the entire road and widen the mouth of it where you narrowed it.
Well, it was 112 feet wide. I really didn't think they needed to pay for that much blacktop for 10 cars a day.
Yeah.
That's why I narrowed it.
So we talked to them about that, they would need to do something if they have, these trucks or these turbines coming, whether it be fix the shoulders, whatever
their entire travel route is on our town roads, they're going to bond for a complete reconstruction of each road.
So basically what they're proposing right now, or what they think they might do, which I mean is really down the road, but using as many of the county roads as possible. So
they're gonna have to, they'll at least have to come off of
Booyah,
off Booyah Road
yeah.
onto Whitman, and then have to use Chapman, so they're gonna have to bond for them sections.
So we did let them know that. So they are very well aware of those costs also. Jim, have I missed anything? Did I forget anything?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
What was, so you said what was the rate again, 10,000 megawatts?
Yeah, so they're proposing, right now they're limited to approximately 20 megawatts, right? 20 megawatts, which would be, and so that's the, they proposed initially when they came last year for approximately anywhere between 5 to 7 turbines, but approximately 6. But that also is to be determined based on the size of the turbines as to how many, because basically they're limited at 20 megawatts. So depending on how much each one's going to push out.
So it's a flat fee?
So it's $10,000. Yeah,
$10,000.
with a 2% escalation each year. So the rate for the first 15 years does go up. And then years 16 through 20, their initial expectation was, let's say for example, the wind farm was, $20 million, with the thought that in year 16 they could have it as low as, or thoughts of $2 million or $5 million. And basically we said that. Because what our assessor is going on right now is that she's actually contacted New York State, she's contacted the energy programs that these are all based under, and trying to do a guideline assessment. And so basically trying to, and that's what New York State, a lot of these different areas are trying to do, is making sure that they're basing the assessment on a generalized assessment, so that one township isn't assessing really, really low and another township is doing so based on what they feel their evaluation is. So, for example, the other wind farm, we received an estimation that $1.9 million per turbine, depending on the size of the turbines and how much they're pumping out.
If you were to get that $10,000 megawatt,
Yeah,
who shares that money the first 15 years?
we do with the school,
The school, just the school.
just the school, because the county is opting out
Yeah.
for the first 15 years.
And
Yes,
then in years 16 and beyond.
that's when they go back on the tax rolls. And so that's the thing, so you're 16 through 20, and unfortunately, I could not blow this up here, so it's microscopic. So for example, if the book value was $20 million at first, and as they discussed and as we, made sure that we were on the same page, so the initial assessed value really has no bearing, because they're not being taxed, they're not paying in reference to that, they're paying based on megawatts, so that's what they would like to do. So then it's estimated that, for example, if it pumped out 19 megawatts the first year, whatever, then we would get, 190, where is that here? So the pilot, so 180,000 they had proposed the first year, with other monies going to special districts, because keep in mind, special districts are not opting out. So the fire district and the library district do not opt out.
So they're going to get a slice of that 10,000 per megawatt?
Yeah, so they get, so for example, in the first year, the proposed, they get separate, because they get based on
They
assessment.
negotiate on their own.
No, they get it based on the tax rate. So it'll be on the tax roll as a certain value. It'll just be exempt for town, county, and school, but it will not be exempt for the fire district or the library district. So it'll figure into their tax rate.
So they don't get a piece of ours, so for example, this particular year, so they said, let's say for example, they're pumping out the first year. In this proposal, they have at 9,000, and that's what I didn't write down. So they said they couldn't go as high as 10, right? Because that's what I proposed that we want suggested,
They offered
right?
9. The town has proposed 10. We still haven't reached an agreement.
All right. So I did take it to them as to what we said. Okay. So their proposal here at 9,000 per megawatt. Then our share would be 180 shared with the school district. And then the next year it's 183, 187. So it goes up by 2%.
What's the school district, what's the school between the schools?
Well, that's, so it just so happens that the school district had their budget meeting last night. They reached out prior to that they would like to have a meeting in reference to the budget and various items.
Just
I'm
to
sure
confirm
because
just to confirm real quick, which school?
Canastota.
Canastota, okay. I just
Canastota.
wasn't sure if it was.
and also Canastota is part of the other wind farm also. So they're abreast as to what's going on in the negotiations. So
They also just lost a bunch of revenue from property that was purchased by the nation down in the village too, so they're probably looking to catch up wherever they can.
so then we'll find out basically what we can negotiate. So my thoughts are that we should probably try to front load the town because year 16 and thereafter, like I said, we'll be on the bottom of the totem pole.
So it's at a sliding scale, so if they, for whatever reason, propose 19, but they produce 9.
So we also said that it is a minimum. If the wind farm is supposed to produce 19, they're paying on 19 whether they produce 9, 18, or nothing. Anything else? Okay. Alright. And at this point, until they come back with something else and we know any more, that's as far as we have to go, correct?
Well, they sent an email late yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. They sent an email late yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet, but obviously we've got to have some discussions with the school district.
Right, yeah, I did see that, yes. Yeah. Okay.